All right, we're continuing our trip right now. We are heading to our second destination. That's the Sabino Coffee right here. So we're going to go ahead and go in reverse. We have the full visual right here. This is the high fidelity parking assist. So I'm gonna go and manually drive out here and then let AutoPilot take care of itself. Actually, I wonder if I can just enable AutoPilot in reverse. What happens if I enable AutoPilot while I'm in reverse? Let me see. Enable AutoPilot. Nope, it won't do it. So if I'm in reverse, it won't enable AutoPilot. Obviously, because you gotta go downwards to enable AutoPilot. So it just disables reverse. Okay, so here we go. We are going to enable AutoPilot. Actually, I'm not going to enable AutoPilot in this area because if you've been following the journey of the AutoPilot from our experience so far, I don't feel comfortable having AutoPilot in these areas. As you can see right here, even though it does a really good job of like, see how you can, it sees everything, right? So it's not that it doesn't see things. I'm just not comfortable with it making decisions for me. For example, if there's a person walking, right, I'm making eye contact with that person, and if the Tesla happens to slow down just a little bit as a hesitation, then that person is going to think I'm letting them through, and I don't even know if the Tesla is going to let them through or not. So that's the part where I hesitate a little bit to let AutoPilot take control here. So I like to get out of these parking areas, then I let it take the AutoPilot, the full self-driving, I let it do its thing on the big street. So maybe at the stop sign right here, we're gonna let it do its thing right here. So it signals, it does a better job of signaling than people normally do. So it's gonna stop right here, and see, it's supposed to go, it's supposed to go, it's supposed to go. See, it hesitated too long there. It hesitated too long because oh, it slowed down for the speed bump. It slowed down for the speed bump. Nice. Okay, so it's going to turn to the right lane right here. So it sees that car stop right there. Let me see. Oh, see, it hesitated. Nope, that's not good. So now, see, it's still hesitating. Nope. See, oh, that was really bad. It hesitated too much, so that other people around, they don't know what the car is thinking, and they're looking at me for eye contact, and it's terrible. So right here, it's kind of deciding if it's gonna turn. If it's gonna turn, it sees this human right here. It's deciding, it's turning. Oh, it went for it. So it did turn on the right lane. Okay, so now it's gonna go to the left lane to go on the freeway. Okay, so it sees the green right there. Is it gonna try to get there? Nope, it's good. It takes it easy. Okay, so what it basically did is it turned right on a red light after a complete stop. It was a complicated situation. There was a pedestrian that we don't know if they will decide to take a step down, because sometimes pedestrians are weird, right? They might be waiting and then decide to walk. And then there was also another person at the other side of the intersection making a protective left turn, and it kind of, the Tesla FSD kind of balanced everything and said, I'm going for it. It took the right turn, it sped up, and it went to the left lane. So where we are right now, it's gonna turn on the freeway. I think it did a pretty good job. It's kind of fun to see how things work. Yeah, here we go, we're turning. There's two lanes turning right here. You're always gotta be ready. You always have to be, oh, see, that sucked too. That was terrible. What happened there was AutoPilot disengaged at the wrong time. And now it's trying to do this two lane right here, and that's also very silly, because basically what it was doing was it's trying to take up both lanes so that the car behind us doesn't merge into us, but that car behind us did not like us at all. And now it's gonna try to merge over here. Okay, it's doing a good job. Good, perfect. Okay, so what happened there was frustrating, okay? Because it's driving, I guess it's frustrating for me because I'm not controlling it, but there was two lanes that was merging. So if it was me driving, I would have sped up and stayed on my lane, and when I got to the end of it, then I would have merged over and take over. This car, it wasn't speeding up, but it just kind of took the middle lane and said, I'm going to dominate this lane right now. And also the other thing that sucked, the other thing that was really bad was there was a notification for me to provide some force on the steering wheel. right as it was making its turn. And because I didn't provide that force, it disengaged autopilot at the wrong time. When it disengaged autopilot, it slowed down immediately to a stop. And then every car behind me is like, what's going on? What is this guy doing, right? Because that's not human nature to just turn and midway in your turn, just stop. So the behavior is fine if the whole world is on autopilot. If every car is on autopilot, then it's all using the same logic and they can even talk to each other. That'll be perfect. But right now, you're combining human controls. Yeah, so right now it's trying to turn. I think it's gonna go 0.7 miles right here. So it's gonna try to go to the right lane. So I don't know if it's gonna turn. Yeah, so right now it's changing lanes. Right now it's checking, it's changing lanes. Good. It sees a car in front of us. Yep, it sees everything. And it's gonna need to do one more lane change. So one of the things I've taken with the autopilot is if you're gonna be using autopilot, full self-driving, you gotta really pay attention. You must be alert and know what's going on because of two reasons. Number one, it behaves really weird. So cars around you will get annoyed, will honk at you and they don't know what's going on. And number two, you have to be ready to take over. If it drops out of autopilot, like you forget to touch the steering wheel every moment, every minute, then it's gonna drop out of autopilot. And if that happens, it's pretty scary because it will start to slow down to a complete stop, which is probably the smartest thing for the car to do, but it puts you in danger because other cars will not know why you are suddenly slowing down. Just because you didn't touch the steering wheel and it had disengaged autopilot by itself, that's a really bad reason for the car to automatically slow down. So that's kind of so far my experience with full self-driving. I think the technology is really good, but until the whole world is on autopilot, I feel like there has to be a human aspect involved. There we go, it's merging lane. Now, one really interesting thing that is going to be controversial, but I want to bring it up just anyway, right? And it's the railroad scenario, and it's very much applicable to AI in our world because we're at a point where AI needs to make a decision, right? So say AI is driving, and it is, and there's a situation. It needs to avoid an accident. It can either turn right to avoid accident or turn left to avoid accident. But on the right side is a young girl, and on the right side it's an older woman. Which side will it take to avoid us getting into accident if it has to pick one side or another, right? So that's the kind of logic that we don't know what AI is thinking. So that's kind of it's kind of going to be a very controversial thing when AI decides to take action for us, but we don't know how AI treats things, right? And it's been over the news too. Like there are different races that AI will treat as higher value to society. I mean, that's what the AI gathers from all the social media posts and everything. So it's racist. So AI is going to be racist because the internet is racist, right? But we can't have that because that's not how humans should behave, and that's not how AI should represent us. But anyway, I digress. So that's one thing where autopilot is currently very, very limited, right? So at this point right here, we're driving on the freeway. We got about 1.1 mile to the exit. It looks over there. It knows it needs to make its exit in about 1 mile. It sees a car coming up right here. It's doing its turn right here, and it's going to signal and change lane for us. There we go. See, oh, it sees a red light. So it saw the red light. and now it's gonna signal again, and it's gonna go over. It's gonna nope, it doesn't change the lane because of the car. Okay, now it's going to try and change the lane again. Oh, that was very smooth. That was very smooth. And there's a car behind us coming up right there, and it was far enough so it didn't get scared. Okay, so what just happened there is that it signaled, but then it saw there was a car in the blind spot, so it turned off its signal, so that will prevent the other car from getting confused. It's really good. And then when it saw the other car slow down, it then turned on its blinker again, waited for the car to clear, and then finally turn the blinker, change the lane, and here we are. So it did all that pretty good. So now we're gonna take the lane to exit. We're gonna look for the clear. Oh, it failed. Oh, okay, hang on. No, we're still good. Okay, so it slowed down for some reason. Are we supposed to exit there? Okay, it failed. I know what happened there. It tried to make a lane change, but it couldn't because it couldn't find a clear spot to go in. So it's just decided, nope, I'm just gonna go and find a different route. So if it was me driving, I might have slowed down a little bit, made sure it was clear and hopped in. But of course, it didn't make that decision. It just skipped that exit. All right, here we go. We're gonna lane change in here. Let's see how well it does this. It's gonna lane change and it's gonna exit. Beautiful, right there. Nice. Okay. Exit. Perfect. Now it's gonna make, let me see, it's gonna take the right fork. Okay, good again. It's gonna continue turning. And again, every time it's doing these curves, these turns, I'm always afraid of one thing. And that is if I forget to put force on the steering wheel. And if I forget to put force on the steering wheel, it will disengage autopilot at the wrong time. And that's the worst thing, right? Oh, failed. What was it doing? It was supposed to go on this lane and it just hesitated. Yeah, I could have hit the divider. It was, yeah, that was bad. See, so those are the situations that still needs work. It still needs work. So that's why it's very unsafe if you use full self-driving and you depend on it 100%. If you are okay with being able to react to it like we did, then it's great. But the problem with full self-driving is it's going to make you comfortable in the wrong way. Because you know it works well 95% of the time, you start to trust it too much, and when it fails at that 5%, like what it just did, oh my gosh, then that's where it's worse than not using full self-driving. So really it works great on freeways and even lane changes on the freeways and streets that are clearly marked without complicated forks in the road, right? Like simple traffic lights or simple stop signs, it can do okay. I'm most comfortable on the freeway, and I'm okay with the city streets, and I'm not okay in parking lots. That's where I am with FSD. Oh, this guy wants to back up. What? Okay, hang on. Okay, he pulled forward too much and he wanted to back up. So the situation we just had was interesting. We were at a stop sign, but the car had drove past where it's supposed to stop, and it decided to back up a little bit. As a human driver, I would have just backed up and given him space. But as the Tesla AI, what was it gonna do? I don't know. But thankfully, that driver decided just to drive forward anyway. If that car wanted to back up more, would the AI know to do it? Or would that be just on me to take it off autopilot and back up? So, situations like that, autopilot can only do what it can do. And sometimes its decision is not what I'm comfortable with, right? If it decided to stand its ground, because that's the correct thing to do legally, I wouldn't be comfortable because I'd rather back up and give that person room so that they don't feel forced to drive forward, which they did. They felt forced to drive forward, and guess what? They could have gotten into an accident. So I don't know. That's where full self-driving still needs a human operator. All right, so we're arriving at our coffee shop right now. So looking pretty good. We're gonna drive up there, and let me see where it decides. It's gonna go to the right lane right here. Oh, perfect. All right, it's gonna just, I'm gonna take it off autopilot and I'm gonna park. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and back up right here. Oh, by the way, this is the high fidelity parking assist with the holiday update. It's pretty cool, right? So you can see what's going on, and you can see when you're close to the curb, you can see if there's cars behind you. So this is gonna make me trust my Cybertruck more, because with the Cybertruck, there's no backup mirror. You're gonna have to trust the AI, and you're gonna have to trust all these cameras, and we're gonna park right there and go get some coffee. So how was that full self-driving experience? A little bit nerve-wracking, right? So it's fun, but you have to be alert.